Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Merry Christmas once again, and hope you had a beautiful Christmas, a Merry Christmas, and I wish you a prosperous New Year coming up. Whenever you found this video, if I don't know when you're going to be get into it. So the first thing I did is to mark my half length, and this style is for a 10-year-old. So my half length I marked at 14 inches, and then that will serve as our beginning point or our starting point. I am going down by 8 inches for our bust point. And just like I keep mentioning that this measurement depends on how big or small your child is. Remember, children are not the same size even though they are the same age. Then for my shoulder measurement, I am marking at 6.5 inches. That's my shoulder measurement divided by 2. And then I'll connect the point, this line, to meet our bust point. And then for my neckline, I went out by 3 inches, and then for the depth I marked 4 inches. That's 3 inches by 4 inches. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my French curve to connect this for a round neck. Then the next thing I'm going to be marking in my shoulder slope, and I marked at 1 inch, and I'll go ahead and connect this to my starting point. Once I am done with that, I'll go ahead and mark my bust measurement, which is 9.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and connect my armhole. So this 9.5 inches is my bust divided by 4 for beginners that don't know how to divide your measurements. And then I'll go ahead and mark my waist measurement divided by 4, and my waist measurement is 9 inches once I divide it by 4. So I'll go ahead and connect this to our bust line, and every measurement is going to be every allowance I'm going to be attaching it to while cutting to the fabric. If you haven't subscribed up to this moment, please take 1 minute to hit on the subscribe button and join the family. And to my old subscribers, I say thank you very much for all your support. Don't forget to watch my ads. Don't skip my ads. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. So for my armhole, from that shoulder slope to my bust point, I divided it into 2, and I make a mark there. So from that mark, I'm going to go ahead and make a curve to meet our center front. So this measurement, this pattern we are cutting out is for our front bodies. So once I'm okay with what I have, I'll first of all use it to cut out my back neckline, my back bodies before cutting out what we just marked. And when marking your front bodies, please make sure that your pattern is folded into 2. That is not just 1. So you can see my neckline, my back neckline, I marked at 1.5 inches, and I added my zipper allowance to it. So this is what I have, and you can see I've cut out my front bodies first before we go ahead and for the front bodies I added 1/2 inch stitching allowance all around to this waistline, the neckline, the armhole, and then 1.5 inches to the seam side. So I'll go ahead and separate this pattern that we just marked. I'm going to transfer this pattern again so that I will have a double pattern. Just remember that I said when you are marking yours that the pattern is supposed to be folded. Your paper is supposed to be folded. So this is the fabric I'll be using. These 2 fabrics. That's what I'll be using. So just like I said, I'm going to record this. That's why I mentioned it earlier that you only want to cut yours, that you should make sure that your pattern is folded so that you don't go ahead and waste your paper. So this is what we have. After cutting it, I'm just going to go ahead and replace this place that we divided or we cut out. This is what you're going to be having once you are done. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to our paper, to my fabric, sorry. I remember that we've already added our stitching allowance to the paper when I was recutting. So I'll go ahead and add 1/2 inch stitching allowance at this side, and then I'll cut out every other side the same. So this is it after cutting it out, and also to the other side. And remember, before you cut it, I don't know if I mentioned, make sure you cut out your lining pieces before you go ahead and separate your paper to cut out the front bodies. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to fold this and then cut out and pin it down. So I'm going to be stitching by half inch stitching allowance I added on both sides of it. I'll stitch it down. So this is it after stitching it down. If there is any excess, please go ahead and cut it off. So I'll bring in my back bodice and making sure that I have the same fabric at the same fabric on one side. That's this other fabric I added, make sure is placed at the same side of it so that both of them will meet at the same side. And I'll go ahead and pin on my shoulder line, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. I just feel that this fabric, the two-piece fabric I'm using, is too it doesn't show the style very well. I would have using a more sharper fabric or dull fabric so that it will pop out well. But anyway, we move. So once I'm done stitching on my shoulder line, I did the same thing for my lining as well. And you can see I am using the normal lining. In fact, I hate working with this lining because it gives me a lot of issues. It's so light, I don't know why. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to pin my two shoulder seam down, and then I'll go ahead and pin every other side of my neckline. Once I am done with that, I'll stitch on it and then also stitch on my armhole. So this is after we are done. I'll go ahead and make notches around it and also around my neckline as my armhole as well. Then I'll go ahead and turn this to the right side. You have to be a little patient with turning it. It's not too difficult. It's not difficult, but it's not as fast as the normal armhole turning. So I'll go ahead and pull it out the two armhole well, and then I'll go ahead and arrange this, and then we'll stitch at our same side. If you have light at this moment, at this point, please go ahead and iron your pieces. So for the fabric we are going using for the gathers, just like I mentioned earlier, we are using these two fabrics, and you make sure that whatever you are cutting two equal measurements. And I took out my half length, cut out the remaining measurement plus 2 inches stitching allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and hem this and then gather it at the upper side of it. So the measurement I use here is 3 yards of fabric, and one of the pieces is 1.5 and 1.5 yard. So by the time you add it together is 3 yards. So that's what I have here. So I'll hem it and then run a gather stitch here and gather it together. So this is it after I was done gathering it, the two fabrics. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my bodies. And remember, the bodies also have a separate pattern on it. So I'm going to be matching where the two fabric meet each other on the bodies and then on the gather. I'll mash it up and then use my pin to secure this. And then I'll go ahead and stitch at both sides of it. So this is what we have after stitching it down. I feel like it's not popping like I wanted it to be after using a different fabric so that it will come out well. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to close up the zipper allowance and then attach my zip. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find value in it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up if you haven't already again. And share my videos to family and friends, and don't forget to watch my and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.